You started. I can't start. It's not plugged in. Health misinformation. Coronavirus unemployment scams. A Kentucky couple on house arrest and ankle monitored. And Lieutenant Colonel Alan West wins big over the weekend. All that and more coming up in today's Wade and Carter Show. You can come do the show. Yeah, I was just reading Vanessa's comment. Should be here.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning to you.
How are you?
Very well, thank you.
Good. Let's do this. Oh, where'd my mouse? There it is.
Got a mouse in your pocket. 75 degrees in Victoria, Texas, under predictably
Just happy
sunny
to be here.
skies. Right. Pretty good chance of rain all afternoon, starting around noon, going through the 6 o'clock hour, up to 50%. So should get some of those showers that we got over the weekend. Did you get any at your place?
I got some on Saturday, and I got a slight drizzle yesterday, but not really enough to. I've still got more brown in the yard than I do green.
Right. 75 to a high of 93 today.
At least the heat's down.
Not as hot, right?
No, not as hot.
The difference between 85 and 93 doesn't seem as bad as the difference between 93 and 101. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like 85 is kind of balmy, 93 is hot, but 101
101 is unbearable.
dumb.
Very, very much so. Oh, how was the weekend?
Busy. Lots going on. I think I told you earlier, we didn't do much yesterday, but we power washed and moved around patio furniture and power washed it and got rid of dog hair and resituated. So everything you solve ends up with a new problem, you know?
Yeah.
For example, in this case, you guys know what I'm talking about. You bring in the Nutria to clean up the water, and the next thing you know, you got a rat problem. You bring in the kudzu to get rid of the brown patch, and next thing you know, it takes over Mississippi. We brought in one of those
You bring in the murder hornets to take over, to take care of the fire ants.
And the next thing you know, Biden's president. We brought in one of those cute little gravity-fed, at-will dog feeders so that when we're out of town, we can give Maggie 3.5 gallons of fresh water and a big old thing of food, and we can leave and not worry about it. Well, when you do that, the birds become at-will feeders on your patio, and then it's like guano everywhere, stucco all over the patio and the furniture and all that. So yesterday we whipped out the power washer, and I went to Tractor Supply and bought an owl, plastic owl. And this one has like a bobblehead, and we named it after Joe Biden. It has the most piercing, big as a nickel, yellow with black pupils eyes.
Does it reach out and stroke your hair and try to kiss you on the side of the head?
It does like this, and the head rotates with the most gentle breeze. It rotates. We call it creepy. We named it after Joe Biden. But so on a day when we weren't going to do anything, made a huge Sam's run. You know, I got a pallet. I go in there, you buy pallets of stuff.
Yeah.
So we made a Sam's run. We power washed and redirected, and we.
That's a Costco run for our Canadian listeners.
Right.
We don't have
Costco
those here.
Sorry. And I'm trying not to regional. I'm trying to globalize the program. So I'll just apologize for our Canadians. I'm sorry. And I also power washed everything out of the blade. Took everything off the blazer, all the lights and all that stuff, and power washed it.
Nice.
Yeah. A lot of work. A lot of work on it.
You don't look sunburned. That's good.
It was overcast yesterday. I guess I could have said I wore sunscreen. You would know better.
I would. Or maybe it's the red hue off your visor that's keeping your face from looking too red.
Very excited tomorrow to have our friend, Lieutenant Colonel
Retired.
Vanessa Hicks Calloway will come in, talk about a little uproar she started by being a person of color and speaking out on behalf of her thoughts.
Isn't it? Doesn't we'll get into that tomorrow.
Yeah.
But doesn't that get interesting?
Yeah. I'm offended for you.
Or on the other side, you don't know what you're talking about.
Exactly. Let's see who that is.
I don't know. Which one is it? This one, I think.
Push it.
No, this one. Good morning, Wade and Carter. Good. How are you?
Well,
Steve
hello, Steve
Kidder,
Kidder.
how are
you,
you?
my friend? Thank you. Thank you.
Well, we weren't going to yet. Yeah, we were saving this topic for tomorrow because it ties in with our guest tomorrow. Yeah.
But it's a good time for you to mention that. It's a
Yeah.
Zoom meeting, and it's the people are all
It is the
excited.
city council meeting.
But this is not on the agenda. So what it's going to be, as I understand,
Citizens communication. I looked at the
Right.
city council meeting agenda over the weekend, and basically it's citizens communication portion talking about the statue at De Leon Plaza.
or anything. Talk about anything you want. You can talk about the lunacy of people talking about the statue at De Leon Plaza. Of course, then they'll label you a racist. Yes, and I
But we
believe
appreciate you calling and bringing this to the attention
Yeah.
because it does get us talking about it this a day early. But
always good to hear from you anyway, Steve. Our thought is that they will let citizens communication talk about the statue. And then there won't be any vote. In fact, there probably won't be any discussion by the council at all because it's not on the agenda. What's interesting to me is that a small group of folks, and we'll get this more detail tomorrow with Vanessa Hicks Calloway, who I guess somehow because she was a decorated military veteran, her opinion doesn't matter on this, or maybe she's not smart enough to understand the ramifications of this.
well, no, I think it's more simple than that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, no, she
that's why
would.
we're going to have her come on.
But I think it's more simple than that. I think it's because she's a Republican.
She's a Republican, so therefore she's got to be racist. She's going to come on the show with us tomorrow and clarify. And we've invited some folks to come on. I'll get to that in a minute too. But I think that I think what's interesting to me is that there's a group that said, yeah, I'm a follower. Let's get excited about that. And they begged and pleaded. They got like 3,700 names to say, let's take down that statue. Ron Sandage put out there, hey, if you don't want the statue to move, let me know. Like 6,500 people said, let's don't move the statue. I think it's a fairly clear edict. But you know what? If Victoria wants to vote on it, put it on the ballot. And here's my thought on that. Put it on a ballot. And if the people that say don't move it are too lazy to go vote, if the vocal minority can muster the votes to move the statue, then move it. If you're not willing to go, right. Yeah, they need to pay for it too. Sure. City doesn't need to pay for that.
Well, that won't happen. It's the left. They always want the government to pay for everything.
Well, Joe Biden will probably pay for it.
Yeah.
But Stephen, thank you as always, sir. It's beautiful.
I'm Joe Biden's husband, Joe Biden. That might be my favorite self-introduction ever.
And I'm running for Senate. Have a
Thanks,
great day,
David.
brother.
Appreciate the call.
That's awesome.
It's that easy, folks. 575-9509. Give us a ring.
Yeah, anybody, you can have any opinion you want.
361 for those out of the area code.
Now, Stephen is a friend of the show and a top fan and all that stuff. But if you call and you're like off the wall, crazy, loony left or something, We're not going to point that out. We do not pick. I've been told, oh, y'all pick on people when they call. That's a lie. The left just doesn't call.
I don't recall picking on anybody that's ever called.
No. I mean, I'd love for Pat Talley to call and tell me why she wants to move that statue. She may have been there when they installed it. I'd love to hear about it. Pat, call us.
Now, the mayor, good morning. Chris Conrad, Scott Snow, Bobby Leister, Marvin Mickish, C.W. Bean. The Leisterometer still has us holding steady at 67.
I did talk to another person this weekend that said that they would like to see more statues. A statue of Martin de Leon, a statue of U.S. Grant, a statue of Robert E. Lee, where you can go around and
that'd be interesting because that would almost put a statue for every flag that's ever flown
over the state of
Texas.
And I think that would be brilliant.
You want to talk about a way to, interesting point, because we talk a lot about the historical tourism that happens in Goliad and Gonzales and the Alamo. What if that became, as you suggested, De Leon Plaza, where instead of moving this to a museum, because you know what's going to happen next, right?
Make the Plaza Museum.
You're going to move these to a museum, and then the same people that are mad that these statues were in public spaces are then going to complain that nobody can afford the museum.
Right. Boycott the museum.
So why not? That might be a brilliant idea. Let's
entire plaza a museum.
Get these cities to ship them down to us and turn it into a bit of a museum. Maybe you outline the plaza on all sides with these statues, and you put up
those little placards. Detail the outrage. This statue of Saul Ross once stood at Texas A&M University. People got upset. We moved it here so you could study it.
Here's the history of Saul Ross, the good and the bad. Boom, 2 columns.
There it is.
I bet you people would come
from miles around. I do
too. I think it would
be brilliant.
It would happen.
Add to it, don't detract from it.
Because it would solve the 2 problems. Or at least one of the problems. Maybe both. You're now putting these in a place where people can learn, which is one of the arguments for moving them, right?
Right.
Well, they don't need to be in public. We need to put them in a place, which is also interesting because so many museums that they want these moved to are publicly funded museums. So what's the difference if it's on a public square, which is publicly funded, or a publicly funded museum? I don't get the difference.
Well, and it's not exactly art. So where's it going to go? It can't go to the nave very well.
No, but there are like the... you can't do that because they're pulling the statue of Teddy Roosevelt from the American Museum of Natural History.
Which is the dumbest thing ever. All Teddy Roosevelt ever did was just greatly expand all of our park systems.
Yeah, he was he was, but he's no longer. He was the grandfather of conservationalism, right?
Right. Yep. He was a huge hunter.
Oh, that might have been part of the problem.
Yeah, but I mean, he was into conservation.
He alone responsible for eradicating half the bison that roam the plains.
Right. That's the story they tell.
Don't think he was but a mere lad back then, but anyway.
Yesterday, give me an example of how I talked to my buddy Mike Bloschke, our buddy, out at he's part of the Quail Creek Volunteer Fire Department. Yep. Yesterday, and a picture of this, folks, if you're out there at where the big turn is by the Coletta Creek Bridge on 77 South, you've got Chubby's, the old, used to be now it's a 7-Eleven. It's right there. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Yep.
So an 18-wheeler went out the little side gate there, the little side road, and instead of crossing the southbound road and turning left to go towards the Houston Highway exit. You know what I'm talking about? He took the first left and was in the right-hand lane of the southbound highway and hit a Jeep head-on out there. Big fire, multiple fatalities.
Really?
Quail Creek had to go out there and put it out. And you start thinking about, how does this stuff happen? The guy's a professional truck driver. There's 4 lanes. He turns into the inside lane of the southbound road in a big rig and hits a Jeep head on. Just impossible. But it makes me think about it. This is not a cheap segue into a plug. It makes you think about the importance of people like Alan's Wrecker Service, where you can call Alan, he'll come out, sensitive to the scene, secure the scene, put the cones out that directs traffic, has the personnel to slow traffic. 578-6300. Alan does that. That's a typical day for Alan Miller and the folks at Alan's Wrecker Service. They deal with tragedy. They can also deal with your local towing needs. You need something done here, Refugio. You need something towed from here to Refugio.
Towed anywhere.
Trailer, whatever. Alan's Wrecker Service. The VCS companies, Rocket Oilfield Services, and the only locally owned and authorized AT&T retailer, all right on Kerr Boulevard, right off of Main Street, just inside the loop.
Our banner sponsor for a reason.
Absolutely. The model of integrity in our community, the place to reach out to. If you don't have a security system in these crazy times, you're crazy. Reach out to them. Video Doorbell Pro, Control 4, all the surveillance cameras, heat sensors, smoke sensors. They've got it all. State of the art, so much less expensive than you probably think.
I talked to somebody the other day who had a Video Doorbell Pro, and it used to just turn on when you rang the doorbell. They had some issues going on, some things that caused them concern. Now, basically, anytime something moves,
It comes
the camera
on.
comes on.
Very nice. Reach out to Clayton and Casey Help at SCT Building Systems.
564-8864.
They can take what would be just a metal building and turn it into a home. They can make the same building into a barn. They can put a veneer on it and better windows and make it a home. They can make it a she shed.
He shed.
They can also do
They shed.
right. He identifying as a she shed. My name is Bruce. Anyway, 564-8864.
Give me a call.
Clayton Casey Help, SCT Building Systems.
And Chesnick Furniture Company can outfit the inside of that.
For
He
100
shed,
years,
she
they've
shed,
been doing it.
Barnuminium home.
100 years. Corner of Juan Lynn and Bridge, 116 West Juan Lynn in sunny downtown Victoria. I see Judge Posey checks in. Good morning, sir. There's Christina Wise, Lisa Poole. Who else we got? Christopher Conrad. You're in charge of that. You're the name
Yeah.
dropper. There's
HR Mallory. The Iceman is in. Monica Jost. Adam Daughtry. Johnny Houghton. Tom Price. Patrick Strauss. Ashley Hayfling.
Hey, I got to tell you about Ashley.
All right.
You go ahead. You go ahead.
Dave Garza.
Clifford and Teresa
I'm
Crown.
thinking it's Teresa this
That's
time.
just Teresa.
Yeah.
Tom Price.
Larry Leahy. Good morning.
What did
Lisa Poole asked if the
Podcast.
meeting will be broadcast online for those who can't be there. Yeah.
yes,
it
and
be
nobody
Zoom-
will be there.
Zoom
It'll all be a
tomorrow.
Zoom meeting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sheriff Louderback is in.
Hello, sir.
Denise Hartman, good morning. Rob Pupey, Rena Scherer, I already said Bobby Leister. CW Bean asked about the statue of him.
Yeah, CW, there should be a statue of you.
There's my beautiful wife, Cheryl, checking in.
Hi, Cheryl.
Steve Tyler, Amy Mundy, David Glass,
Hello, Amy.
Dave Garza, Marty Stockbauer, Warren Bingham, Jay Dub, Pablo Perez. Wow.
So since
Good
you
group this
saw
morning.
Ashley Hayfling,
Yep.
it's a good time for me to mention the great work done by the Go Texan team. I call it a team. I think they are a team. I look around, you got the
It's never just one person go Texas.
No, but it's Scott Nelson and Ash
Judge
and
Posey.
Michael Tater and Kirby Garrett, just and Richard Bluto. You just keep going down the list of these great folks that volunteer, giving their time. They're giving for the kids. And we were flattered the other night. The Shears had bought a charitable dinner that the gentleman, Jim Winnie, has been the head Shaka Khan. Now, you think about when you go to the Houston Livestock Show, you see all those people walking around with their livestock committee member badge and all those badges and all that. Well, he's the head Shaka Khan.
His is the one that looks more like a homecoming mom.
Well, what he's got, it's got, you know, those things you have now where you can walk with your arms on it, you know, for
Yeah.
his badge rests on that.
Gotcha.
He looks like the biggest tramp at the prom. You know what I mean? He's got more stuff hanging off of his mom than anybody. But he has a beautiful place out close to Placido. And it worked out perfectly because with social distancing and with concerns about health, it allowed people to have plenty of room to spread out.
And nobody can take pictures and rat
Right.
you out like they do in
Exactly.
lots of other jurisdictions.
So there were a nice small group that was just so much fun. We had a great time with Calvin Arena and the group that went. And but Ash did he cooked. He was the pit master.
Nice.
And they
nice.
cooked these beautiful tenderloins, crab cakes, shrimp. And you know when
Making me hungry stuff.
I was gonna say you know when I grill shrimp, how they're tasty, but they're usually kind of dry. You know, you just by the time they're charred the way you want or whatever, then they're kind of chewy. He did these at a low heat to where they were still it was like eating lobster. They were perfect on the inside, but they were seasoned on the it's just anyway, he's a great cook, and he heads up, works with our buddy Tim Burley.
Nice.
And that group, they all do the Go Texan event at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, and then they give the money to scholarships. And last year they gave like 2 different kids over $5,000.
Wow.
And it was a wonderful event to be a part of. And Ashley made it really special. His skills on the pit are incredible. So he said that he would check in, and I just want to give him a little attaboy for all the hard work they did.
Andy Ria Jr. checking in. Sandy Garble, Daryl Lynch. I think we're caught up.
Scott Nelson did the prayer before dinner.
Very nice.
45 minutes. I couldn't believe. Yeah, 45 minutes. We passed the plate twice. I did not know he was Baptist. We just prayed, and
I heard he condensed it down from 60 pages to 30.
Yeah, he had to shut it down a little bit. I mean, people were going, glory. I mean, the whole deal was like a revival. It was beautiful.
Well, it was under a white tent.
It was nice.
Jim Hartman checking in. Good morning to you, sir.
Hello, Mr. Hartman. I hope you're doing well, my friend.
Lisa Poole says the meeting is open to the public. Yes. Via Zoom.
Via Zoom, yes.
Steve Kidder says he has a link to it on his Facebook page.
Sandy
Share that
Garble.
out, Steve. We will. You can put the link here. We will certainly get the link out.
Do you know
On the
Sandy
link.
Garble?
I do know Sandy Garble.
Because my brain goes Sandy Gravel.
Long time listener of Ash Wade.
Right. Oh, yeah. Because way back when you were
Going back to my days in country radio. Seriously.
and she's Canadian.
No, when here before you came back here.
Before I made you a star.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like Dolly Parton. I guess you're
Porter
Porter.
Wagoner.
You're Porter, and I'm Dolly. Without the boobs.
You have bigger boobs.
Jolene.
That's probably the $1 song I cannot stand.
I don't
Thank you
like
for
it
putting
either.
that in my head
like-
all day.
Quit whining, Dolly. With those boobs, he ain't going anywhere.
Matt Cantu, good morning to you.
Hello, Matt Cantu.
Jeff Coleman, checking in. We're huge in Arkansas this morning,
There you go.
and he's not even related to
He's
us.
got a full set of teeth.
So you can tell all the guys that moved to Arkansas.
Steve Kidder just posted the link. That's how
There it is.
good our group is. There's the link for
Yeah.
the city of Victoria.
And we'll get it on the Wade and Carter page later today. So
Significance is tomorrow, Vanessa Hicks Callaway will be here. We're going to talk about an editorial she had in the paper last week. And I encourage your calls. In fact, I encourage you to tell your BLM friends to call, because then they can hear the truth from a lady who's a Republican who also happens to be black.
what?
Yeah. You know what we call that? Educated. What you got?
I was going to say Lieutenant Colonel Alan West wins the Republican Party of Texas chairmanship.
And that's awesome. He owes that in total to his appearance on Wade and Carter. I don't know if you remember that.
We're going to get him on the show this week as well. Back on the show.
He's
I
a
will.
fantastically
Yeah.
motivating individual. And you know, in a lot of ways,
And if you followed some of the shenanigans that went on as they moved this convention online,
yes. Yeah, it was.
I'm surprised he was able to pull off the victory given some of the some of the gamesmanship being played by opponents.
Now, you'll remember that Alan West was a congressman from Florida, and it's been opined that this is a name recognition stop for him and that this is a stepping stone for him.
Well, he lives here now. He lives not here, but he lives in Texas. He's lived here for a few years. It wasn't like he just moved to Texas to run for a Republican Party chair.
No, but don't be surprised. And it doesn't bother me a bit, because what you're getting right now is a man who's grossly overqualified for the role that he's taken. So that's good for Texas. I wouldn't be surprised to see him run for governor at some point.
There's been people that have said that maybe one of the Senate seats.
Yes, I could see him running against John Cornyn.
Yeah.
Yes, I could see that for sure.
James Dickey was the chair.
Hi, Paul Ebner. I've just heard multiple people who have to deal with the Republican Party say that James Dickey just didn't do a whole lot for them.
No, you talk about draining the swamp, and James Dickey's name tends to come up right at the beginning of it. And he sent out a letter that might have violated some electional ethics during the John Cornyn primary.
Do you know Carl Big Boy Smith? I'm just liking that name.
I don't.
Yeah, he says West is an awesome guy.
I'm guessing with a middle name or a nickname like that, he might have been the guy outside the JB's Big Boy restaurants, right? Had to have been.
That was Carl's Jr., right? Yeah, maybe. But Carl, what you point out is true, because I'll tell you that on the day that Alan West called us, and maybe it is an under promise, over deliver type thing. His handlers, his folks that we dealt with to get to him, we're like, okay, you can have him from 7:30 to 7:45. He's got 15 minutes, and then he's on a plane, and we've got this going and that going, and blah, blah, blah. And he got on the phone with us at like 7:25. He called in early, and we chatted him up and just had a great visit with him, picked his brain about all kinds of things. It wasn't a fluff piece. We asked him some tough questions about his life, his background. And
just don't forget, I think 3 weeks earlier there was a motorcycle
wreck. And at 7:45, we said, "Well, Colonel West, we know that you're a busy man. We appreciate your time." And he said, "No." He said, "I've got what else would you guys? I'm enjoying this." Is what he said. "I'm enjoying this. What else would you guys like to talk about?" I thought it was fantastic. And I'll tell you that Dwayne Stovall opened my eyes about John Cornyn. And I did some research and realized that I felt that John Cornyn, he is the consummate politician. I find John Cornyn to be a very nice man. I've met him several times. San Antonio guy, lawyer, but when it gets right down to it, he reminds me a lot of John McCain. There's just a lot of wishy-washy. I'll vote the way the wind blows.
Kind of looks like him a little bit.
I'll vote to make people happy. That's.
Amy Monday says your Victoria delegates to the convention were up until 2:45 this morning, finishing out the convention. So
well, thank you. Yeah, I'm assuming you're one of them, Amy. I hope so, and thank you for your time on that. That's a world I haven't spent a lot of time in. I know it's very intense. I know Bill Posey's involved, and but I would.
Yeah, we have a few listeners who were very involved. I know Kevin Myers was planning to go. I had discussions with him. I know. I think Wendell Geigel.
I like Amy Monday being up to 2:45 and on the show at 7:30. I like that.
It's because she hasn't been in bed yet.
Commitment.
Yeah. Otherwise, she doesn't check into the show.
She's still sleeping. Did they have the Republican happy hour from 3 to 7?
They might have had the Republican hammocks.
Right.
Catch a quick nap.
Just a quick one.
I can only imagine it was exhausting.
Yeah. Well, and Zoom is.
And I know there was a lot of scrambling trying to find a place to hold it in person rather than via Zoom, Skype, whatever flavor of the day online meeting.
Right.
They
we want to
did,
name
but
them all so we don't.
yeah, we don't want to offend.
Hey, what do you make of this? Is a quick aside before we go to a break, but what do you make of some of these? Like I heard today that Disney is pulling all of its advertising off of Facebook.
Yeah, which is kind of interesting. And I don't know all the details, but I'm guessing it's because Facebook hasn't moved fast enough to censor
Trump?
Trump and other speech.
So it's liberals lashing out at liberals for not being
Being
liberal enough.
Yeah. And
Disney lives matter, folks. Disney lives matter.
well, you'll recall, I think it was about a week ago, 10 days ago on this show, we talked a little bit about the criticism that Facebook was getting from the left
Right.
for not moving as
Correct.
fast as Twitter, Google, and some of these others for, not censoring and the president and other speech. So
there's Clay Meyer and Heather Monroe. So wait, can we protest? Can we get a group together and protest over this liberal on liberal catfight? Because if we can, we need some new headphones. I thought you and I could meet at Best Buy and go in. We could each grab some headphones and then put an arm under like a 55-inch smart TV and walk out. With it.
Yeah, you could.
I mean, if we trash things and catch stuff on fire and burn tires in the parking lot, then we're just frustrated people. But if we just simply walk in, shoplift, and leave and don't cause any damage, then we're shoplifters. Yeah. And if all these folks that are upset about the statues can be upset for the black people that are too stupid to be upset about it, right? That's kind of what they're insinuating.
Kind of.
Then why can't we go in and protest for the Disney people when we're not even liberal?
Nothing stopping us.
It's all about getting what you want and the way you feel.
And your feelings. Massaged.
More than feelings.
There's our new national anthem if Joe Biden wins the election.
That's what they ought to play before the. You had the greatest idea ever, folks. This is sheer genius. All Ash said was, play the national anthem before the teams come on the field. The players don't care nothing about the national anthem. I'm sorry. I like Drew Brees a lot. I can see Drew Brees. I'm standing there thinking about my granddad crossing Okinawa. That's a lie. He's standing there thinking about trying not to get hit by Von Miller. Yeah. Don't let him lie to you.
We got the ball first. What are we going to do? What play should I call?
What play should I call? He ain't thinking about his granddad on Okinawa Beach.
The only time I have ever, and I'm probably wrong, and I'm somewhat generalizing, but when was the last time you saw an athlete before a game actually sing the national anthem?
Very rare.
It happens after events, like at the Olympics when you win the gold medal and they play it.
And that's beautiful. But you're playing for your country. Those athletes are playing for
their
corporations. Yeah. They're playing for Jerry Jones. They're not playing for God and country.
I've also said this. Do away with it before the end of the game. This is entertainment. We don't play it before a movie. I don't play it before I go see a play.
No, I don't understand where that started anyway, except that it's just so American. Football, baseball, is so American.
In doing some research, it's a fairly recent phenomenon or invention. I mean, as late as the early 1970s, it wasn't being played before every baseball game.
Right. Well, every team didn't have a great organist.
Well, maybe not.
Folks,
but it had to have been an invention of the Red Scare.
Oh, no doubt. That's exactly right. So we're all going to be united. Sports is going to be the great uniter. Now it looks like sports is the great divider.
Carl Smith says they probably don't even know the words to it. LOL. He was joking, folks.
He was joking. Please don't sanction Carl Smith. By the way, Veracruz today, folks, for lunch. For dinner, to go.
Back open today.
576-6015. I talked to Lee yesterday. He was resting. He said, man, we've been slammed at Veracruz. That's how good the food is. Simply the best Mexican food in town. Get in there. They have the best tortillas, the best guac, the best queso, the best hot sauce. And then you get to the food. Whether you do the conquest,
By the time you finish,
ah,
by the time you fill up on the chips and the hot sauce, you're can I get it to go bag?
can I have a salad to go, please? And another basket of chips. Love it. Veracruz for lunch, Veracruz for dinner, Veracruz all day long. Go call our buddy John Paul Hull at Razor IT Solutions. Let him evaluate your analytics. You're like, what? Let him go into your webpage and see who's hitting your site, who's trying to hit your site, who's trying to hack into your site.
It might be the least invasive, most informative procedure you could ever have.
Absolutely. Not only that, hey, while you're doing this, your Facebook page looks like this, but your website looks like that. What if we merge them together and then we put a pay button? Now when people come in, they want to buy something, it goes right into your QuickBooks account because I've got a software for that. Boom, boom, boom. He's the guy that makes all that happen. He does it for really big corporations all over the country. Just happens to live here in town. He has family here. He and his wife, Ember, little Cavender, Harper, mom. They got it all. Reach out to Razor IT Solutions.
You've finally given up on the baby Brent then, huh?
It's not, I call him Baby Brent, but his name's Kevin. Atzenhofer dealership since 1926. Tommy Taylor's just next in line. Got Mr. Greason and another Mr. Greason, all the way back to Ed Atzenhofer. 1926, selling Chevys, built a dealership. Now they sell Cadillacs, Mazdas, Mitsubishis, and Chevys.
I tell you what, I'm perusing Atzenhofer.com last night because, daughter was in Iraq. We need a new vehicle. They've got some great deals. But I tell you what, hard to, I like the styling of the Mazdas.
You've told me that it looks sharp.
Couldn't find one on their site. They don't have a used Mazda anywhere.
Well, that's how reliable they are. And Atzenhofer also will maintain, fix the dents, and paint. Although I don't think Ashton's car is going to get fixed.
Not this one. Nope.
And like I said, saw our buddy Scott Nelson the other night, White Trash Services.
550-1826, the number to call for all your trash collection needs,
Just
whether you're in
another-
Victoria County or the 5 surrounding counties.
Holiday Beach and Rockport. One, not new, but relative to some of our sponsors like Allen's and Atzenhofer, a new business in Victoria, blowing and going and growing. They have not only moved locations, they've doubled the size of that location. They've added onto their yard. They're making a strong push to be.
They might take over that whole industrial park.
They could
soon.
The service provider for Victoria. So reach out to them for all your trash needs. You need a roll-off dumpster for a big project.
You're just getting a jump on your spring cleaning.
There you go. If you have a problem with your computer, your laptop doesn't work, your printer won't talk to your laptop.
Just need advice on a new laptop.
Your wife won't talk to you. You just need advice. Call Dwayne Proctor, 550-4744.
Licensed computer and relationship therapist.
Right. Absolutely.
Oh, so
expressed here, not necessarily those of Wayne Carter.
Diane Tippett checking in. Katina Arterberry, good morning. Travis Gundelock. Jeff Fonseca says he sang the anthem before his round of golf yesterday, and that's why you had the golf course to yourself.
Right.
Upon teeing off, Jeff.
He can play, though. Fonzie can play.
I know. So, so a health official in Nueces County on Friday comes out and says we currently have 85 babies under the age of 1 infected with coronavirus. Then they had to walk it back a little.
Like how much?
Well, that's the number of babies under the age of 1 who have tested positive since this thing began. It wasn't currently, although I guess since I believe the infant mortality rate is very, very low.
Sure.
And they don't seem to take off those who have recovered from the list of cases. She may not have been exactly lying, but certainly was misrepresented the current situation enough that health officials in Corpus Christi and the county judge actually felt that they had to go out and sort of retract it and make a new statement saying, well, that's not exactly what she meant.
So where are you at on this deal if I say to you that I think Victoria County now, pick a number. What is it? 2,400 cases, más o menos?
Yeah, 20 deaths.
And, like 1,100 and something have been deemed to have recovered. So that means like there's 1,300 cases in the middle of doing so. And we're at how many? 20?
I think 20.
20. So there's 20 dead people.
Last I saw.
At the end of the day, isn't the 20 dead people all that really matters? I mean, let's say we've confirmed 2,400 cases.
Well, and did they die of it or with it?
Right.
Or can you say, okay, yes, it played a large enough role, right? Said, right?
Yes, I'm with you.
Did it play a large enough role?
I don't know. I mean, that's the whole, let me tell you something. You want to talk about people that are on top of things. Just got a text from me. That's an offer dealership saying, send me Ash's contact info. I'll make sure he gets a new Mazda.
All right.
That's the kind of service you get in Victoria, Texas. How about this, though? If you've got 20 deaths, when you tell me that there's 2,400 confirmed cases, and I'm going to tell you, guess what, folks? 300 of those were false positives. So that makes 2,100. But of the 2,100, that means that probably for every person that got tested and was found positive, there's probably, let's say, 8 that didn't even have any symptoms and they were positive. So instead of 2,100, it's really more like 10,000. Does any of that make you feel better or worse? We still have 20 dead people. That's the bottom line. What if I told you that right now in Victoria County, 20,000 people were COVID positive? Is that going to make you wear your mask? Are you going to stay home? Are you in pandemic fear? As opposed to, well, it's only 2,400 out of 92,000. I think you ought to think of it as everybody's either got it or they're going to get it. You probably ought to be careful.
Yeah. But here's the problem I have with what happened in Corpus Christi on Friday. It makes you not trust the information and the motives behind that information.
Absolutely.
Right?
I agree.
I mean, you're the health official. If you go out there and say we currently have 85 infants under the age of 1 that are positive, that's not the same as we've had 85 since this began.
Exactly.
Because you've got half a million
of them recovered.
You've got 500,000 people in the Corpus Christi area easily.
Sure, in the region.
So 85 in the span of 4 to 5 months, not as big a number as of this morning, 85. That's the kind of panic that fear-mongering that I believe was the intent behind presenting the information that way.
Sure. They want to scare you. And somehow, folks, it's still Donald Trump's fault. He didn't do enough. He didn't act quickly enough. You'll recall that he banned travel from Europe, and Nancy Pelosi was upset about it. You'll recall that he said no more travel from China, and she went to Chinatown to make sure those folks in San Francisco weren't offended.
How about this Kentucky couple? Refused to sign their papers that would allow them to be followed up with contract tracing, all this other stuff, because they didn't like the way it was worded.
Right.
They felt it was an invasion of their privacy, so they refused to sign the papers. Yet they agreed to go home and basically stay home for the 14 days after testing positive.
Right.
Even though, if I remember correctly, I read it over the weekend, I don't think either one of them felt any symptoms.
Correct.
Younger couple, young kid or kids.
She needed a pedicure in the picture I saw. She had green polish. And
sure it was polish?
I don't know. It could have been fungus. She needed a pedicure. So they put them on lockdown.
Well, and not only that, they show up with a whole bunch. I mean, it was like Roger Stone being arrested again.
Right.
Minus the FBI, but it's a similar situation. They came in with, I think, like 8 police officers and then back up on the street and blocked off the entrances to and from. And then they ankle monitored them. They basically can't leave their yard without tripping the ankle monitor and being subject to arrest.
See, we're becoming somewhat of and people would say, there are people listening right now, people that are regulars on the program, that are saying to themselves, well, they should have signed the paperwork. These are serious times. And these are the same people that back in the 40s said, well, just round up anybody that doesn't have round eyes and let's put them in a camp until we've figured out who the bad guys are. Same logic. Someday we're going to look back.
But
at
then
these
call for
days.
reparations because we did that.
Oh, she'll get reparations over that ankle bracelet someday. You watch.
Chris
Yeah.
Conner says they charged him and placed him under house arrest.
You know, and again, common sense, they should place themselves under house arrest for the benefit of their friends. But
And
signing
they said they
paperwork-
were doing it. They just didn't believe the paperwork. They
Right.
felt it was.
So you can sign the paperwork, place yourself under house arrest, and lie about it.
And probably everything will be good. But you cannot sign the paperwork, tell them we're going to go home and be good citizens and not go anywhere, and then they're going to charge you and place you under house arrest with ankle monitors.
This is along the lines of you either pledge allegiance to the flag that we put in front of you or we're going to shoot you. So you pledge allegiance and then you work behind the scenes.
Yet this is the country that let criminals out of jail and prisons
Over COVID.
because they had a risk for COVID. But the masks work.
The Democrats did that, by the way. They did that to get more votes from you in November.
Well, they're working on that too. A lot of states wanting to give felons the ability to vote.
It's crazy. It's one of the deterrents of the felony.
And then news out of Maryland over the weekend, $500 million in coronavirus unemployment scams linked to the $5 trillion. I don't even like to call it a stimulus package, but I guess the coronavirus aid package, the CARES Act. And that's just Maryland. They found almost 50,000 cases of suspected fraud from people using fake IDs, false names, probably the same people that are on the voter rolls for the Democrat Party.
Yeah,
Dead people and people that don't exist.
exactly.
They probably just asked for the list from the voter fraud group. Hey, can you give me the voter fraud list? I'm going to perpetuate some unemployment fraud over here. But 500 million, and there's at least 5 other states that I think are investigating similar type of activities, maybe not quite to that extent. But Maryland isn't the biggest state in the world, folks.
500 million.
In Maryland alone. And I think a couple other states, Michigan, think of the states that are involved. I think Michigan was another one. Look at the leadership of these states, folks.
The raging left.
Tells you all you need to know, I think.
All you need to know for barbecue and lunch today, Uncle Mutt's. Goodbye, brisket, ribs, sausage, chicken, turkey. They got it all. You'll be glad you went in. All the side dishes.
Although I don't know, you can go in. You can drive
in.
in. Yeah.
You can drive through.
Yeah.
Uncle Mutt's rice, green beans, cabbage, pinto beans, bean-X. They've got it all. Whatever you need. Potato salad, coleslaw. You're going to need something. You need cabbage and pintos with some smoked chicken at lunch.
Cabbage and pintos, you're going to need more than a mask. You're going to need a gas mask.
You're making friends at your home office. Goodbye, Uncle Mutt. You'll be glad you did.
What was the meme? I used to cough to cover up a fart. Well,
Right.
fart to cover up a cough.
There you go. Sometimes I fart when I cough, but that's just because I'm old.
Kegel exercises.
Does that work for me? I don't know.
Not there yet.
Excited when you say it. Gray Barn Design. Reach out to Cheryl, 920-6803. She'll help make your next party memorable. Ash and I it's more than a passive deal. Ash and I are planning a large response, I believe, to the cancellation of Boot Fest. He and I are working hard mentally to put together something. I'm working. Ash is just saying
Working.
he hasn't said no yet.
No, I'm in full agreement on this.
We're
The
trying to-
COVID-19 recovery party.
And we're going to have,
We just can't hold it anywhere right now because every place is closed.
but Cheryl's going to help us design it,
Definitely.
is the deal. And that'll give you a chance to see her accoutrement in action.
920-6803.
You'll love it. Went Services, Went Electrical, Went Generators, Went everything you need for power at your home. Whether you need a Generac American-made generator or you need solar panels on a
Briggs and Stratton, Kohler, they've got every
Cummins.
brand imaginable.
They've got a Peterbilt. They got it all. Detroit diesel. By God, we got a
Freightliner.
Got it all.
Next thing you know, you're singing eastbound and down,
Right.
loaded up and trucking.
A negative Ghost Rider. Anyway, we've got to get you over there so they can get their solar panels on your roof or out on your property, and they now back up to a Generac battery pack.
I'm not going to talk specific dollars,
It's
but
a-
I'm going to give you a roundabout way to look at this.
Okay.
The peace of mind that never having your power go out at your home
When the power goes out.
is more affordable than trying to buy a reliable used car.
I agree.
It is. I've priced it out, and I'm trying to price a reliable used car.
So you say that the Generac battery pack makes me want to say knick-knack, paddywhack. Give the dog a bone. Give Win a call. Do it. USA Concrete Coatings. You've heard us talk about USA Foundation Repair for 3 years.
Now
Charlie
we're
Garcia-
we're sliding over a notch.
Well, picture it. You got your house, you get it all leveled up and everything, but you still got some unsightly cracks in your garage. Charlie Garcia come out, put USA Concrete Coatings on it, all types, super durable. We'll get to all the science of it later.
You want maybe you just wanted new flooring. You pulled up all the old flooring and realized,
can do
you
it.
know what? I kind of like the concrete look.
Yep.
No
You can
carpet to vacuum.
just rinse it out.
Power wash it out the door.
578 Home. Reach out to Charlie Garcia.
Won't
and his
crack,
crew.
won't peel, won't fade, slip resistant. You name it, they can coat it.
Ice is not approved. What is he talking about?
I have
What's
no
he
idea.
Not approving.
Says you're talking 86 Honda Civic or 15 Benz. Neither one
I'll
of
tell
those.
you what. I'm excited about the party we could have.
Me too.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I've already got the band laid out. Just got to find the dates that work.
So you heard
And
some
a venue,
yeah,
some money.
You heard some interesting news this morning coming in, listening to a report from veteran broadcaster Don Criqui,
Hall
who
of Fame broadcast.
Hall of Famer. I've had a chance to meet him. Great guy. I think I've talked about it on here, but when NBC first aired CFL games back in the 80s, when the NFL went on strike,
When Warren Moon was on top of the world.
yeah, I think he'd already left.
Had he?
But Don Criqui was broadcasting those games for NBC. We had a great conversation about the CFL and how he feels that it's just a product that just isn't appreciated by American football audiences and really not underappreciated, but just not known.
Right.
But thought it was a great brand of football. Well, you were telling me this morning that you heard that he was saying that there's a franchise that had to go get a loan of
$100
$100
million
million just to keep things going, and it's not the XFL.
No,
2.0.
It's got to be an
But-
NFL team.
That's my guess. The fact that he wouldn't name the franchise, and I know he still broadcasts NFL games on the radio,
Correct.
might lead me to believe it's an NFL team.
See, there's politics and everything revolves around, nothing really revolves around the players. Nothing really revolves around the sanctity of sport. Everything revolves around money. And here's the example for you. NFL owners,
Except in the CFL.
right. NFL owners are paranoid that once they play 3 consecutive games, let's say they start September 15th and they play up until October, week, 3 games. All salaries at that point are guaranteed. If there's a shutdown in the middle of October and they say no more football, the owners are still on the hook for all those contracts. They ain't got any butts in the seats. They're not selling any $10 beer.
There's no
They're not
TV
selling
being
any
watched.
$50 parking. And those owners, all of whom are fat cats and nobody really cares about their money, some of them, Jerry Jones could not have withstood this when he first bought the Cowboys.
No.
He only had $140 million. He spent it all on the Dallas Cowboys. He had no money to sit back. He's not Mr. Kraft who can just sell more Velveeta. This is a real problem. And Criqui said, he goes, and this is a guy that makes his living off of the NFL. I mean, he wasn't being critical. He was being observational. He said, folks, you're going to see fire sale prices and franchises being sold in professional sports. Now the NFL, some of the players, this cat's name Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson said, "Hey, I want to play. I'm a football player, but my wife's expecting a child, and the NFL doesn't have any hard and fast protocol for keeping us safe." Drew Brees chimed in and said, "We need hope. We need football. We need this, but we need security. We need safety." So you've got both extremes. Drew Brees trying to rebuild his public persona after being
which should never have ever been
right,
decimated
right,
like it has.
lambasted over his or lambasted at any rate, beat up
Just
over his
because
comments about the national anthem. Who would have ever thought that a grown man, a 40-year-old, no ballot Hall of Famer could say, "I just don't want to kneel during the." You're a racist, man. You're not being good to your teammates. I see both sides of the argument, but when the other side spouts their side, nobody says, "You're an idiot, man."
You can't.
You can't, because then you're a racist.
Matt Boucher checking in. Dave Garza asked, "What are your thoughts on the DA's letter in reference to the Victoria Livestock Show?" I'm working on a little bit more, and I think we'll save any of that conversation until tomorrow or possibly Wednesday, since we have a guest tomorrow. We don't know where that's going to go. There's more coming on that.
Oh yeah, that story, that's the tip of the iceberg, man.
Yeah, and it's moved beyond that. I will continue to disagree with the road the Livestock Show took. They wanted their money back. I don't know why both roads couldn't have been taken.
Well, there are multifacets, and I'll tell you, and like I said, we're going to get into this in more detail. Ash and I differ on this a little bit. I listened when Steve Tyler said, "Look, they laid out what they wanted, they being the Livestock Show board."
No, I understand.
And he obtained that for them. We want our money back. We want the credibility of the Livestock Show to be above reproach, and we want to move forward. Mr. Tyler accomplished that for them. In doing so, it appears he could have, or they usurped another deal that was proposed on another situation. Sell your house, give us the money back. Well, that deal had already been proposed by another organization or individual, I'm not sure which. And the Livestock Show kind of swooped in and took that, which, by the way, is just business and doesn't offend me. But it does, when you get into Constance Philly Johnson's letter, that by going in and doing this agreement, hey, if you sign here and admit this and give the money back, we won't press charges. We call that doing something under duress, because the alternative is, if you don't sign here and you don't give the money back, we're going to turn all this evidence we've got over to the DA. Well, when you do that, you essentially, her affidavit can basically be torn. If I was her lawyer, I'd say, well, she signed it under duress. It's not like she came in admitting she was a thief. You people threatened her. But apparently there's so much smoke that there's going to be a fire. And I have confidence in Ms. Johnson to say that I think she'll step up and make something happen.
But yeah,
what is Mr. Nelson at? What is BJ asking us?
I think in response to Chris Conrad, they got their money and lost their credibility.
I don't think the Livestock Show lost their credibility. Ash and I differ a little bit on, well, you're supposed to teach the kids values. And tell you what, if you've got a young livestock person, you can teach them, hey, get the money first, deal with the rest later. Or you want to be there were people I was told at the meeting that were just vehement that, she's got to go down. She's going down. It's just a matter of when and for what crime. So that's just the way that's going to go.
Gail Goff says VLS set a horrible example for the youth of Victoria. The whole board needs to go.
Now, see, I don't know. I don't personally feel that way, but then again, Ms. Goff, I'm not that involved in the Livestock Show at that level.
It would appear there was a lack of oversight. Maybe.
Yeah, I'm
Would that restore confidence? If everybody on the board said, you know what?
We'll all step
down. We'll have a new board. We'll get new process, or maybe they stay on, they put some new process in place, and then say, once this is in place, we'll go. Would that restore the confidence?
I don't. And how much confidence do you lack? They got the money back. The money's all there. that it seems like the livestock show has always done a yeoman's job of giving away scholarships and being great for the community. And I just happen to know on a personal level, there's no one. I mean,
Miranda,
Hirsch Van Sickle could work for the Hartmans. There's no one with any more integrity over there than Hirsch Van Sickle. So to have him in charge of the money now gives me, and he's a banker, he knows how to read a spreadsheet.
Miranda Tunja says you can't blame him for wanting the money.
No, and I think their number one job is to get the money back that was given in good faith by the people of the community to the livestock show. Get the money back. The idea now,
I've had people ask me, well, you know what? 140,000 went missing and nobody seemed to miss it.
Now that could be an oversight problem. That could be a board problem. That could be a treasurer problem. But it doesn't mean that.
Well, the treasurer was the problem.
Right.
So, yeah.
But I believe that we're just awfully quick to go, they all got to go. They all got to go. Don't forget they're volunteers, folks, and they were appointed, and I don't know. Now, see, Ms. Goff says, hey, look, friendship's collided the issue. I'm sure that's the case. And like I said, I'm not up to speed enough to talk about it. And when your maiden name was Coley, I know you are up to speed enough to talk about it. So that's, total respect to your opinion.
Which brings up another question. Your friend just ripped you off $140,000.
Right.
Not really a friend anymore, are they?
Not much of a friend anymore. No. Yeah. Well, Cody Sugar says, what's wrong with having money in charges?
That's the question I asked.
That's been Ash's stance. I'm not sure you'd have gotten the money if you would. I think Mr.
would have gone to probably legal defense at that point.
And by the way, when the 140 that you are trying to get is coming out of the sale of a home, if you end up in a big court battle with several other people who have a grievance against Ms. Hessler, the next thing you know, instead of getting 140, maybe you get 30. So the livestock show financially just had a boon moment. They went in, got their money, and got out. And I think time may show that Ms. Hessler doesn't have $500,000 there, 800 here, $1 million there, when these other people come calling wanting their money. So it's an interesting time. Let's let it all unfold. Here's our promise to you. We'll always respect your opinion. Mine absolutely is subject to change. I just said, hey, hats off to the livestock show for getting their money back. I think that over the next couple of months, you're going to see charges brought. I think you're going to see people go to jail.
Yeah, there's the other issue.
I think everybody will be happy when it's over.
That I was going to mention and didn't. So thank you, Steve Kidder. That 139 in a criminal setting gets paid back at a paltry.
Yeah, because you can't get money out of her while she's in jail. So they pay it back at $20 a month.
Yeah,
that's what happens.
You'll get her. Yeah, you'll get her daily wages for making license plates. Jeremy Pena checking in. Top of the hour, folks. We got to get out of here.
I didn't know that. It is after the top of the hour, folks. 8:02. Enjoy your day. Be safe out there. Be careful on the roads. If you need help, call Allen's Wrecker Service. Tune in tomorrow morning. You'll be glad. Vanessa Hicks Calloway will be here. We will ask her some tough questions. I'm looking forward to it. Fortunate to have as strong a relationship as Wade Carter does with Lieutenant Colonel.
I'm glad she's coming in.
Calloway, she's awesome. Looking forward to having her in here. So she'll be in the morning, and we encourage your calls, encourage your questions. Ask her the tough question.
Both sides of the issue on this.
You're welcome
to call.
You leftists that listen in private, feel free to call. You can call anonymously. We had an anonymous call. We're not going to front you out.
Give us your name. You don't have to.
Hey, we have caller ID. We didn't mention names. Call us if you want. 575-9519. We'll talk to you mañana.
Bye, folks.
So tell me this.
Hang on, YouTube's still on.
Hello, YouTubers. Let me know when YouTube's not on.